the Austell area in South Cobb. And we're looking at mostly at how public education affects and could help relieve concentrated poverty in South Cobb. So some background on the area. Austell is a primarily black community created during the era of integration and white flight. And as a lot of mid to upper class residents moved out to the suburbs, they took a lot of industry and business with them, and they left this area with few jobs, which this resulted in lots of like big pockets of concentrated poverty in South Cobb. And in 1967, Six Flags Over Georgia was built here, which has been a major provider of jobs for the area. So the problem we're trying to help fix is concentrated poverty. And as Florida said, that concentrated poverty, as you might expect, it relates to high crime rates, and it's very hard to get out of this area, get out of poverty, especially for children. And the city of Austell is very high amounts of concentrated poverty compared to areas in South Cobb. And this is true even though there are lots of big developments like Six Flags and the new Braves Stadium. So to narrow down even more, we're looking primarily at South Cobb High School. 74% of students are economically disadvantaged, and the graduation rate is only 73% compared to a state median of 82%. And South Cobb is a magnet school for medicine. So they get a lot of funds from the county to help bring in gifted students and try to help test scores. Though, as you can see, those numbers are not particularly high, even though this is the case. So one surprising thing is how the AP and dual enrollment is very low at these schools, while a lot of other schools in Cobb County have very high dual enrollment. Like Cal High School has 50% of students enrolled in dual enrollment classes.
And so their concentrated poverty has a tight correlation to gaps in educational achievement. Students, for example, living in poverty have much lower high school graduation rates. And there is a link between housing policy, economic and social segregation, and achievement gaps. But since the recession, there has been great economic disparity and less integration between socioeconomic classes. And so school poverty becomes a proxy for the quality of the school. People tend to look at the situation at the school, and so like if they're situated in poor communities, they'll have like less local resources, fewer parents with college degrees, fewer two-parent families with parents that have time to go and volunteer in the kids' schools, and the schools then have a harder time attracting better teachers. And so all this leads to fewer economic, social, and capital resources for the schools, and this challenges any efforts to improve educational outcomes and creating skilled workers for the economy, which then leads back into a vicious cycle of poverty, concentrated poverty within the community. And so our goal with our reform proposal is to cut this feedback loop and equalize opportunity. And so in only 14 out of the 97 cities, there are less than half of black students attending majority low-income schools. And the figures for Hispanic students is quite similar. In 85 out of the studied 36 schools, students attend schools with majority low-income classes. So we feel that combating this lack of educational opportunity in the area will break this negative feedback that is commonly found in concentrated poverty areas.
Okay, so a little bit of background about existing programs in Cobb County to try and help with these concentrated poverty pockets through education. We mentioned that South Cobb High School is a magnet school, and this is a program that the county sets up to try and concentrate like higher level students, and the students apply to the high school when they're middle school, like they're going to a college, and then students get into that program. There's more funding to try and attract these high level students to the school. In the short term, it benefits the test scores in the area, and then over the long term, it tries to attract more educated residents to live in the area so that the students are close to the school that they're trying to attend. A problem that we found with that, though, is that like by upping the average test scores in the area, it's not really helping the lower income residents. Another problem is that by only upping the high school level education for these students, they're already starting off at a disadvantaged level than everybody else when we're talking about high level STEM fields. An important problem to note with this too, dual enrollment is another option for students to benefit themselves in post-secondary education while still in high school. But if you are in the magnet program, you cannot take part in college classes while you're a high school student. So the Move On When Ready program in Georgia is set up to take state funding to pay for high school kids to attend public universities. I think they pay for up to 15 credit hours a semester, and then students get high school credit and college credit for those classes. Traditionally, students are encouraged to take traditional college classes like English, math, reading, science, but they're also able to take technical school or trade school classes. So our question is, what if this program is used to help people with technical or trade schools? Okay, so our proposal for this project is to try and shift a focus of public education in Austell, notably at South Cobb High School, to trying to prepare kids for admission to technical schools while they're still in high school. And this would still, while trying to, not getting rid of the magnet program, but just trying to shift a little bit of focus towards other areas. So this is different than the current approach because it's trying to push kids into more of a technical applied setting of what they're trying to do. And then like I said on previous slides, only trying to push kids to high STEM level education, they're disadvantaged to begin with and might not be interested in such programs. The magnet schools hold their purposes, but from what we've seen, they do not appear to really benefit local residents.
Our main focus is South Cobb High School again. Here's just some more statistics about how their post-secondary education isn't as at high a level as the people in these magnet schools or the people in other counties or other cities surrounding the area. And with some undercapacity student issues, people not being willing to take these certain higher level classes, they couldn't even provide those classes at South Cobb High School because of the lack of interest. And another thing with the magnet school is it's a large distance from South Cobb High School itself. So being a part of the magnet school and being in the process of applying for the magnet school is already a process in itself, and then you have to travel the extra 40 minutes, which just isn't viable to some of those students. So the college or technical campus that we're looking to pair with is only a 6-minute car ride from South Cobb High School. Okay, so this is just more about the Move On When Ready requirements and how that would incorporate into our program with the Austell campus. It would be more focused on, in traditional Move On When Ready courses, you're doing language classes or math classes, that is more of your core high school and also some of your core college. We would be trying to incorporate more other level classes and other fields of interest into this dual enrollment program. Some of our outside opinions come from the Stanford SEPA kind of organization, where they promote more of a higher level academia in terms of being educated and not in terms of being practical. So that was one of the schools of thought that we found would not sort of agree with this approach. But since we're not trying to disband the magnet school and things that are already in place, we thought that because this was just an addition, giving people more resources, there still wouldn't be that much of a conflict. This doesn't really relate to housing issues that we've talked about in class and the YIMBYs and the new urbanist kind of view on it, but we think that generally that there wouldn't be much conflict from these groups because it's just trying to promote our opportunity in the already existing capitalist economy and improve quality of life.
I think that too, there was a part of this where we were supposed to talk about stakeholders in the like our reform plan. This is a little different because it's more so just taking advantage of programs that already exist and not necessarily creating new or getting rid of old in this process. So like obviously like people who benefit from this program would be local residents that are interested in technical school education and would like to like take part in it at little cost to themselves. Perhaps somebody that would not agree with this, a stakeholder that might not benefit, is like people that push that super high level education towards all students and think that everybody should achieve like extremely elevated academia.